So good morning to all of you. Today we start with satellite attitude dynamics. The controls part we won't be able to do, but in brief, I will discuss the satellite attitude dynamics. So let us just start here. So basically, in the block diagram, the satellite is here, and we can show in the form of what is the satellite control. The satellite attitude dynamics involves the satellite body which is having certain dynamics. So satellite dynamics we can write here. And this also involves actuator. But the actuator is not shown with this, but rather the actuation is shown separately. So the actuator mass is considered in this. Actuator dynamics can be considered in the satellite dynamics. So as a result, you say here in the orbit you have the satellite here, and these are the solar panels. And you want to orient the satellite, and there is a transponder on board, and in this portion the center of the earth is located. So you want to bring this transponder from this side to this side. So finally the satellite should, as it is going in the orbit, so the transponder should come here on this side, and your and solar panel will be on this side. So it has to be reoriented. So for reorienting it, you need certain actuation device. So that actuation device, this is called the actuator. So actuators, these are of two types. One is the inertial and another one is non-inertial. In the inertial category, we have the reaction jets, what you call as the thrusters. Then you have the magnetic torquers. Okay, then we can have the Lorentz torquers. While in the non-inertial one, we have reaction wheels, control movement gyros. Then we have the fluid rings and many others. So the actuator dynamics and the satellite dynamics. Satellite dynamics, if we are talking in a rough sense, so usually it refers to its output PQR and psi theta phi. Psi theta phi, these are the Euler angles, and PQR, this is the roll, pitch, and the yaw. So objective is that this PQR and psi theta phi, it should follow a particular command. So let us say this command we write here, which is also called in controls the reference signal. So this command need to be followed. So for this PQR, then you require a sensing device. So sensing device, let us say we can put here the sensing device. This sensing device then gives certain output which may be noise contaminated. So this is the actual value which is unknown. Actual unknown. On the other hand, whatever you are measuring here, PQR, so these are all contaminated with disturbance. So disturbance can be shown either here in this place or here in this place. So D is the disturbance. And then this is compared with the commanded signal. and based on this, then you design a controller. Okay, and this controller will give you the signal that how much the actuator should be, how much actuator should work. So let us say here in this case you have the 3-axis control. So we write the actuation signal as Q tilde. So this is the control input. So controller will give certain output, and this control, so as a whole, if you see here, this whole thing is a system. Okay, controller is also on board, but controller is generally say electronic one, and this is a mechanical. Mechanical maybe the thruster, either of them, whatever we have listed. So instead of writing here U tilde, we can also write here U tilde. Okay. So, and here the actuator, whatever the actuator gets deflected, let us say in the case of the control movement drivers, it will have certain or say the reaction wheel. So in the case of the reaction wheel, you have, this is a reaction wheel. So once you accelerate it, say here in this direction, okay, so you will get a opposite reaction in this direction. And this opposite reaction will act on the spacecraft. So in that case, your H dot here acts as the input to the system. Thereby the satellite gets affected. So various ways of showing this block diagram. Then for quite often in the earlier days, it was required that the satellite be actuated, but more often it was desired that satellite be pointing initially in a particular direction. So if it is, say this is a satellite, and here is a transponder, and this is the center of the Earth is lying here, and this satellite is rotating this way, anti-clockwise. You know that H dot here in this case it will be H will be here in this direction, angular momentum.
Sir, it's
I am clicking
overwriting.
on the so we are taking satellite like this, and we have a transponder here. Transponder are meant for communication, and uh, and it's rotating along this direction. So this is the angular momentum vector, and we know that if the system is free from the external torque, so it will point in a particular direction. So if the satellite is rotated, then it starts spinning about this axis, then in that case it will point towards a particular direction. It will maintain all the time that particular direction. But here in this case, if it is the center of Earth, the center of Earth, is it possible to do this? If you are pointing it inertially, the inertial direction, sometimes after this, center of Earth will be here and your transponder cannot point along just the same direction. Okay, because if you have to Earth pointing satellite, means the transponder are always pointing toward the center of the Earth, then this configuration will not work. So this is only for in the case where inertial pointing is required. Inertial pointing. So it may be like you are viewing certain star, doing some optical measurements. So at that time, this is okay. So here in this case, each vector, until unless you apply certain external torque, so each vector will maintain its the same direction. And if there is any little bit disturbance, so that can be compensated using the onboard controller. Sometimes then we have a dual spin spacecraft. I will give you the write-up on this. Dual spin spacecraft, here in that case, there are two portions. One is the static, or maybe the rotating, this one, the spinning, and this is the static one. So this is non-rotating. And if you want to keep it inertially pointed, so this can point inertially, and this portion can. So this is the inertial pointing direction, and you have another, say, a transponder or some device you have kept. Suppose here you have a camera which is pointing toward this direction. So this part can be pointing along this direction. This is a static, and this part is rotating. So simultaneously, your H is also available, the angular momentum with a constant magnitude and constant direction. So that inertial pointing is possible, and also this part is rotating. And because of this part only, this part rotates. Here you can load something also so that it points in certain direction, because this is static. So these are various techniques of working with. So you can refer to the book by C.D. Marshall, M.J. C.D. This stuff, this to have control or attitude dynamics, something like this. It's a simple to read book, and then thereafter, Image Kaplan. This the book by him is Spacecraft Dynamics. Dynamics and controls are, but the author name is Image Kaplan, and this is MJCD.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, if it's possible, could you just for a brief moment go to the the previous page?
Hmm.
I just wanted to note something. Okay, sir. Now you can change, sir.
I will send you the write-up for this. Okay, so objective is here to point the satellite either along a particular direction all the time, or either keep it rotating to miss certain objects. Just like in the case of the Earth pointing satellite, the satellite should all the time point along the center of the Earth. This is also called the magnet pointing satellite. That happens in the case of the your communication satellite. So say the communication satellite. So nowadays, what is the series number? I don't know. But earlier it was INSAT, Indian National Satellite. The INSAT various series were launched, and these were put in the geostationary orbit. So here this is your satellite, and the transponder is here. This is your India, or in this location the India is lying. So using this, then you can, because the this is lying in the India is lying not this way. We are showing the equator. So somewhere India is lying from this portion to this portion. So it will be able to communicate with it. In general, a satellite, if it is in the geostationary orbit, so from here its field of vision will look like this. So depending on the altitude, the field of vision can be decided. And because the geostationary satellite height is fixed, and therefore what will be the coverage, so this immediately becomes visible from this diagram. So India gets covered by this. Using this transponder, then you can put various satellite TV program can go on various military purpose, and many things can be done. So here in this case, you see that as the Earth is rotating, so this satellite is also rotating. So if it is inertial pointing, then in that case, your satellite will go like this. but you do not need the initial pointing. What you need is a continuously rotating. So in this case, this is called the Earth pointing satellite. So for communication purpose, now your India comes here in this portion. So for communication purpose, you require Earth pointing satellite or the Nale pointing. So we will go through the basic of the satellite dynamics. In the control portion, obviously, it's a whole course in itself. It's not possible to do it here, but you get exposed to all these issues. So we have the control involves. It's a two way of doing it. One is the called the passive control. Another one is called the active control. So in the passive control, it may be like the for the inertial pointing. So in this case, you have uh, spinning satellite, like dual spin. Means one portion is spinning and another portion is not spinning. So this is for inertial pointing. And already we have looked into this. The another passive control can be your gravity gradient stabilized. Gravity gradient stabilized. In the gravity gradient stabilized, why this is being called uh, passive one? Because there is no active controller or the actuator involved in this. The gravity gradient satellite looks like something this. Here this is your satellite and it may be having solar panel attached to this. And then you have a boom which is extending from this place and there is a mass here attached. So if this is the earth center, then you see in the orbit this satellite, because of this boom, this satellite gets destabilized and you can see it from this figure. Let us say we have a dumbbell. If it gets disturbed, so the disturbed position we can show it like this. The center of the earth is lying here in this place. Here in this case, this is pointing toward the center of the earth. If it gets disturbed, so this will be pointing this way. So immediately you can see that if this is M1 and this is M2, or say both are the same mass, M1, M1, the force acting on this will be, or we write here N1. So force acting on this V will be given by F1 and on this will be given by F2. So this force is greater than, and assuming both the masses are same, so this force will be greater than this force. So F1 magnitude is greater than F2 magnitude. And therefore this will produce a torque along this direction. So this will, if it gets disturbed, so this will have a tendency to return back to this position. And therefore this is called gravity gradient stabilized. So this is stable configuration. On the other hand, if you have a configuration like this, is the center of mass or center is here. If it gets disturbed like this, immediately you can see that this is M1, M2. So the restoring force is not available here in this case. This is more and this is less. So this configuration once disturbed, this will go and acquire a position like this. So this will move this way. So this is therefore unstable configuration. This is a stable configuration. So this way we can analyze. If we take a ellipsoid, so here we have two lobes. So the ellipsoid is stabilized, just as in the case of the moon. The moon is little ellipsoidal, and therefore its one face always points towards the center of the earth. So what happens in that case? That as the moon is going from this position to this position, so let us say this looks like this. So therefore this is the center of the earth. So this lobe, the force is acting here in this direction, and on this lobe force is acting like this. So here the resultant torque is in this direction, and therefore moon cannot remain all the way like this. Moon cannot go like this in the orbit. It has to turn. So if it turns, that means its configuration becomes something like this. So finally, this configuration it will become like this. So all the time you see the same face of the moon. So this is gravity gradient stabilized. While if you take the case of an sphere or a disk, so in that case there is nothing. This is one lobe and this is another lobe. If it comes here, you can see that the mass distribution had not changed. Okay, it remains the same on both the sides, and therefore this is also an unstable configuration. Once it is disturbed, it will remain disturbed. There is nothing to restore its position. So ellipsoid, this is stable, this is unstable, this is stable as we have written here. So this way we can analyze the satellite. However, most of the satellites nowadays, they are all actively controlled. And for the high altitude spacecraft, such as the communication satellite, which are in the geostationary orbit, they do not have any problem. They get enough solar radiation, and using that and battery charge, and from the battery, then the satellite is all the time controlled. I will send you a write-up regarding this. Then we go for the rigid body dynamics. Newton's law, in this case, what we write m equal to h dot is valid. This is Newton's law counterpart for the rotational motion. H dot is applicable when the origin you are considering, here we have a mass here, and we have a shear unit vector along the three directions. So this is point O, or we can put here proof time also. Maybe we'll put it here O and this as the proof time. So here in this case it is saying that the Newton's law is applicable when the origin, this origin is where you are fixing your triad or the reference plane. So origin is non-accelerated. If this point is accelerating, then you will have another term with this. So it will not be simply m equal to h dot. What is the problem? Huh?
I want to give attention seminar.
Huh?
So what are my DSC name?
I will. It will take time. Just take.
I will wait.
Let me. Point O is the center of mass. And we will look into some more conditions are there, but let us look into these two. So, so for simplification, if you are working with the rigid body dynamics, so if we assume that the origin is non-accelerating, means the wherever you are fixing, if you are your center of mass is here and this is your origin, then this point should non-accelerate. If it is accelerating, then this is not applicable. So this is O and this is center of mass. So in that case, this is not applicable. If point O is the center of mass, then immediately the problem gets solved. If you shift O to the center of mass, then this is applicable. If the time permits, maybe in the next class we can take up that particular part.
Sir,
Hmm.
you mean that if O is center of mass, then irrespective of accelerating or non-accelerating, that will be true?
What?
Like you said that first you said that this m is equal to h dot is valid only if O is not accelerating.
Or either it is center of the mass.
Yeah, so if it's the center of the mass and if
Then
like
it can accelerate.
okay.
So I will come to that. I will do the mathematics for that. It will take one class almost explaining it. So I just want to avoid that part right now. But we are not. So what we are interested in finding out the angular momentum equation for a rigid body. So this is your rigid body, and say this is the inertial reference frame.
It's overwriting, sir.
So we have a triad here, E3, E1 and E2. This is 2 prime, and here we fix another frame, and let us assume this is the center of mass for simplicity. Because if we take it off the center of mass, this point O, then finally we have to reduce it to this point for this class consideration. Otherwise, if we go for the point O not coinciding with the center of mass, the equation gets complicated, and many of the physical insight that we will be getting from this topic will get diverted basically, and it will become more mathematics. So I just want to avoid that part. So let us consider that we have some mass here, and this is an elementary mass delta m or dm, and this is the vector rho to this, and from here to here this is the vector r. So here in this case, if the point O is non-accelerating or it is coinciding with the center of mass, then we can write dh as r cross v dm. where v is the velocity of this particular particle. Otherwise, this equation we need to write here like this. If it is not point O is not coinciding with the center of mass, then you need to write dH equal to rho plus rho cross v dA. This is the way then you have to proceed. So this is in the inertial frame. But if your frame itself coincides with the center of mass, its origin, then the things get simplified and this part gets dropped out. And only we are left with this part which I have written here. So this rho R will be replaced with rho. So rho cross V is d by dt R0 plus rho.
Sir,
Yes,
sir, here this capital E1, E2, E3 is the lab frame and the small E1,
this
E2
is
is
the
the
inertial.
body fitted frame.
Yes, this is inertial and small even into is the body.
Okay.
So this we are considering in the inertial frame still. So this part then becomes rho cross d by dt R0 plus rho cross and then dm of course along with this rho cross rho d by dt. So one part we are missing here. So, oh, okay, this is fine. This we have written in inertial frame, so we write it like this. Basically, what we are trying to do here, or we could have simplified at this stage itself by writing it rho cross VDM, which is nothing but rho cross V0 plus omega cross rho. So this is what you get from this case. So this part gives you V0, and this is because in the inertial frame, so as you develop it, so it will get reduced to this formula. So this you have already done in your basic course. So I am avoiding this part. So using this then, if we integrate it, so h can be written as, and this integration will range over the whole body. So rho dm over the whole body cross v0 dm over the whole body. This part is 0. If your point O is coinciding with the center of mass, so rho dm, this becomes 0 by the definition of the center of mass. So this part drops out and only this part remains. So therefore we have h equal to rho cross omega cross rho, and this integration over the whole body, either we show it like this or either you can show over right here the body. Both are okay. We can expand it and write it this way. This integration over the whole body we introduce what is called the unit dyadic. So what this is, I will come to that. So this way we have been able to take out omega outside. And what is unit dyadic? Unit dyadic is written as E1 cap plus E2 cap Dyad is a product of two vectors, product of two vectors without consideration of dot or cross. Without consideration of dot or cross. And if we sum the dyad, so dyadic is summation of dyad. Dyadic, this is summation of dyads. The two or more dyads, if you sum them up, it becomes a dyadic. Now let us look into this part. E double bar dot omega. So you have E1 cap plus okay.
Sir, it's overrated.
Wait, so let's sleep. So E double bar dot omega dot omega. So omega 1 E1 cap plus omega 2 E2 cap omega 3 E3 cap. And if you take the dot product, so you will see that this is nothing but omega 1 E1 cap, omega 2 E2 cap plus omega 3 E3 cap. So this is nothing but omega. So unit once you multiply any vector with a unit r, it remains intact. And therefore using this technique, this omega we have replaced by E double bar dot omega. And therefore this dot product later on we have been able to take it outside and put it here this way. So whatever we have written here, rho square, then E double bar minus rho, this particular one, times dm integration over the whole body. This we write as I double bar. This is called the inertia dyadic. Okay, so it's basically a vector way of writing a tensor, inertia dyadic. And in short notation, this can be written as I alpha beta, E alpha cap, and beta cap summation beta equal to 1 to 3 and alpha equal to 1 to 3. So this will form a vector or but here the difference is that two vectors are multiplying together. So therefore this becomes a dyadic. And once you take a dot product with any vector, so you get the normal result. On the other hand, if we go for the this matrix notation, so rho square omega minus rho dot omega Dn. This we can also write here in this way, rho square. Now this omega in the vector format you can write here, say this is not inertia but this is a unit matrix, and now it becomes tilde. So here this term if you look into, this is nothing but your rho square, omega 1, rho square, omega 2, rho square, omega 3, and multiply it by the corresponding vector. So this is the way it's appearing and summed up. All of them are summed up. So if we go for the matrix notation, then we can put it this way, and this part becomes rho tilde, and here we write tilde to indicate this is a vector of the form. So you have rho 1, rho 2, rho 3. This is your rho tilde vector, and where rho square is rho 1 square, rho 2 square plus rho 3 square. So this can be written as rho tilde times rho tilde and omega tilde. So if we take here the omega tilde outside, because it is not dependent on the integration, so therefore this becomes a unit matrix here, and then rho tilde times rho tilde transpose dn integration. And this quantity is nothing but your inertia matrix as is listed on the next page. So either use the Dardic notation or the vector notation, this matrix notation, both are okay. So here in this case, your left hand side then no longer you will write like this if you are using the matrix notation, rather you will show it like H tilde, where H tilde means S1, S2, S3. And then this becomes, on the right hand side you have rho square I minus rho tilde times rho tilde transpose dn multiplied by omega tilde. So this quantity, if you look, this quantity is nothing but your rho 1 square plus rho 2 square plus rho 3 square. It's a diagonal form. So it's rho 3 square all diagonal terms are 0, and then you are integrating over this minus rho transpose. So this will come as, if you take rho transpose, so the first vector is rho 1, rho 2, rho 3. The second vector is rho 1, rho 2, rho 3, like this. And then you get this as rho 1 square, then rho 1, rho 2, plus rho 1, rho 3, and similarly the other terms. So rho 2, rho 1, rho 2 square, rho 2, rho 3, and then the third term, rho 3, rho 1, rho 3, rho 2, and then the rho 3, rho 3, so we simply write this square. So this is minus, and then whole thing is to be integrated. So what do we get from this place? So your h vector, the h tilde vector, then this becomes h tilde equal to, if you subtract it, so this will become rho 2 square plus rho 3 square, bring dm inside in the matrix format. Then the other one will be this minus rho 1 times rho 2 dm with integration sign and so on. So this you need to complete. So here all the diagonal terms will be in this one, so rho 1 square plus rho 3 square, and this will become rho 1 square plus rho 2 square dm, and this is also your dm. Integration over this, integration over this, integration over this. So this kind of matrix which is forming, let us go on the next page where this is looking at that. Okay, so the matrix what we have got here, it will be a symmetric matrix. So this symmetric matrix, we write this H tilde, it's rho 1, rho 2 square plus rho 3 square dm this integration, then minus sign rho 1 times rho 2 dm minus rho 1 times rho 3 dm. On this side, this is symmetric, okay, as we saw on the previous page. This part will be again rho 2 rho 1 dm, this becomes rho 2 square plus rho 1 square plus rho 3 square dm, and on this side you have rho 2 times rho 3 with minus sign dm. So this way we have to complete it. So this will be rho 3 rho 1 dm with minus sign, and here we will have rho 1 square plus rho 2 square dm. So once we do this integration, so this is basically written as I11, because this is the moment of inertia about, let us say you have here a mass like this, and this is the x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. So this coordinate is y and this coordinate is z. So this is your r square. So r square dm, this is the moment of inertia. So according to this notation, this is the second axis. So this becomes your rho 2 and this is becomes your rho 3. So rho 2 square plus rho 3 square, that becomes the corresponding r square. So this is the moment of inertia about this axis. So this is given by r I11. This is the product of inertia, and this is written as minus sign. We will keep with this, and I will follow this standard notation, and this is I3. Similarly, this becomes I21, I22, I23, and I31, I32, and I33. Where I12 equal to I21 by definition, as you see here, this remains the same, and I13 equal to I31, and I23 equal to I32. And this in product of inertia, the minus sign is absorbed here. We are not taking it outside. So we will write it clearly here in this form. So H becomes this multiplied by omega tilde, which is nothing but omega 2 omega 3. So similarly here we have to multiply here the omega part. So this gives you the angular momentum of the system. Okay.
Sir,
Huh.
sir, like how for I11, I22, I33, we can directly see that those are the moment of inertia with respect to x, y, and z. But for
Z-axis. That's
but
right.
for this like for I12, I31, and I32,
Hmm.
what do they physically, as in represent? Like for example, I11, I22, I33 physically represent the moment of inertia about the three axes, but these
This is simply called product of inertia. As such, it does not have any physical meaning that way what you are considering. You can just see that in the case, uh, that is both is over. So just 1 minute. You can let me bring the page. The product of inertia, what does it mean? You can consider from this figure. Let us say in the case we have the aircraft, the left and the right wing we are having. So X is taken along, say, if this is the aircraft, so we have the nose here in this direction, this is the X direction, this is the Y, and vertically downward, this is the Z direction. So we have the Z direction here, and the X direction is pointing inside, and this is the Y direction. So if we have the wing here, and in the wing we have one mass here, and on this side we have another mass here, at equal distance. Then we take here x-axis like this, so it this way. So along the body of the aircraft, so you will have here one component. This is the y, and the corresponding x. Let us say that we are measuring x from this position. This is my origin. So the corresponding x is here. Let us say the rho 1, and this is the rho 2, and this is the rho 3. So if we consider the integrate it over the mass, so how we are going to get it? So this is rho 2 with minus sign. So rho 1 times rho 2, okay, times Gm. This is on the positive side. So this is positive, therefore we get this one. And this comes with a minus sign. And we will drop here the integration sign. We will just keep the bracket because we have already taken the elemental level. Then we come to this side. So we will have the rho 1 here, x remains unchanged, and rho 2 is minus rho 2 here. And there is a minus sign and then dm. So this becomes rho 1 times rho 2 dm minus rho 1 times rho 2 dm. So this becomes 0. So this simply implies that the I xy quantity this will be 0. So for the aircraft, once we consider, so this matrix IXX, IYY, IZZ, so these are there. But IXY, this quantity becomes 0. In the case of IXZ, so whenever the symmetry exists, the product of inertia will vanish. Otherwise, it does not vanish. So this is what does mean by the product of inertia.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So really, it has no physical significance in the way the diagonal elements are having, but it contributes this way. If you look for the IYZ, so with respect to the Z axis, again you see that on the Y side you will have the
Yes, sir. Like
symmetry, and
yeah,
therefore this
row
quantity
3 and
also,
row 2.
so this quantity also gets to 0. But this term IXZ and IXZ here, they do not become 0. So these are non-zero because x and z are not having the symmetry. But the point.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what about the exam? People are telling that this time is not suitable for me.
Sir,
So we need to fix certain time.
sir, we decided like Shaurya will be able to say uh, in our group we asked everybody. We have decided this slot for Friday, but I don't know which time, particular which time that.
Sir, it was 12 to 2. I think everybody is comfortable with time.
12 to 2 on Friday.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So Friday we will have then 12 to 2 and this will be offline. Offline means I will put one question on the screen and then you have to do that problem and immediately mail it. So just after doing the problem, you have to mail it to me. So it's not that I will give you all the problems simultaneously and you will do and at the end you will do. One question, do it, mail me. Another question I will give you, do it, mail me. So it has to be done immediately.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So it will be offline.
And
All
sir, this for today's and tomorrow's syllabus will be included or not?
whatever do, everything will be included. And
Okay.
finally, one exam we will have.
Okay.
Okay, so we stop here. If you have any further question, you can ask me. I hope this part is clear.
Yes, sir.
And in the case Ixz also becomes 0, so that this X, Y and Z axis that becomes the principal axis. X, Y, Z in that case will be representing the principal axis. And Ixx, Iyy, Iyy and Izz they are called the principal moment of inertia. So we will discuss further this part. So thank you.
Sir, can we leave?
No, okay, fine.